Hi and welcome. I'm Anewz and you are watching Anewz. Here are the headlines. Donald Trump says that a Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal can be reached within a week. Brazil's president urges global reforms during the BRICS summit. Texas floods death toll continues to rise, with at least 82 people confirmed dead. Thank you for tuning in. U.S. President Donald Trump said there is a likelihood of a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas by the end of the week. This comes as Trump is set to host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House later today.
U.S. President Donald Trump has signaled the possibility of a Gaza ceasefire and a hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas. The statement comes ahead of his meeting today with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. Trump did not specify how many hostages could be released, but said the deal could materialize within the week.
I think we're close to a deal on Gaza. We could have it this week. I think there's a good chance we have a deal with Hamas during the coming week, pertaining to quite a few of the hostages. Yeah. You know, we've gotten a lot of the hostages out, but pertaining to the remaining hostages, quite a few of them will be coming out. We think we'll have that done this week.
Meanwhile, Netanyahu expressed optimism about the talks with Trump. He described the meeting as an opportunity to bring change to the Middle East and reaffirmed his commitment to securing the return of all hostages.
This is an opportunity to expand the circle of peace far beyond what we could have imagined before. We have already transformed the face of the Middle East beyond recognition, and we have the opportunity and ability to change it even more and bring a great future to the state of Israel, the people of Israel, and the entire Middle East. We are working to achieve the deal that has been discussed, under the conditions we have agreed to. I have sent a team to negotiate with clear instructions. I believe that the conversation with President Trump can definitely help advance this outcome, which we all hope for. Thank you.
This marks Netanyahu's third visit to the White House since Trump returned to office nearly 6 months ago. Their talks are also expected to address Iran, with both leaders maintaining opposition to the country acquiring nuclear weapons. Analysts say the visit underscores Netanyahu's strong ties with Trump.
For Bibi Netanyahu, he's coming to Washington, I think, in a sense, as part of a victory lap following this war in Iran, and looking to continue to deepen his political bona fides and credibility by demonstrating his popularity, or at least his, let's say it this way, by demonstrating his strong standing with President Trump, which is a critical factor in Israeli politics.
During the visit, Netanyahu is also scheduled to meet other top officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff.
At least 4 people have been killed and dozens more injured after Russian drone attacks hit several Ukrainian cities overnight.
Russian forces launched a large-scale drone attack on Ukraine overnight, hitting several cities. Authorities say the strikes caused casualties and widespread damage to civilian infrastructure. In Kharkiv, dozens were injured, including 4 children, after drones hit residential areas in 3 districts.
I was having breakfast at the time. Then I heard it flying. I woke my wife and goddaughter up and took them to the bathroom. I stood behind the partition wall, and then there was an explosion. Glass shattered, and the windows were blown off. Then there was another one.
My husband got some cuts from the broken glass, but it wasn't serious because we managed to run to the bathroom. My mother was first hit by the falling carpet, then by the debris.
According to the city's mayor and the regional military administration, a kindergarten and multiple apartment buildings were damaged, and several victims remain in hospital. In the southern port city of Odessa, 1 person was killed. Local reports say car service stations and parked vehicles were also damaged. The capital, Kyiv, was also targeted. Although no one was injured, falling drone debris sparked fires and cut off hot water to around 500 buildings, including schools and hospitals. Further north, in the Sumy region, Russian shelling killed 2 people and injured 2 others. Emergency services reported that the attack damaged around 20 buildings and set several homes on fire. In Kherson, another civilian was killed after drone-guided shelling hit the city center. Rescuers were forced to pause firefighting efforts several times due to ongoing attacks in the area. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched over 100 drones and several guided missiles from the Kursk region, with 75 drones successfully intercepted.
European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen spoke with US President Donald Trump on Sunday, just days before a July 9th deadline to avoid new US tariffs. A spokesperson described the call as a good exchange, adding the EU still hopes to reach a trade deal in time. Washington has warned that without a deal, letters will go out notifying trading partners of higher tariffs taking effect from August. The call came as Ursula von der Leyen is preparing to face a European Parliament no-confidence vote on Thursday, the first time the head of the Commission has faced such a move. Donald Trump has put BRICS nations on notice with a new tariff policy targeting countries he says are aligning with policies opposed to U.S. interests. Trump is warning that countries aligning with what he calls the anti-American policies of the BRICS group will face an additional 10% tariff. He made the announcement on Truth Social but did not define what those policies are. In response, China said it strongly objects the use of U.S. tariffs as a means of coercion. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said that such measures benefit no one, urging cooperation over confrontation, adding that economic protectionism leads nowhere. Trump's 90-day tariff pause is about to expire in 2 days amid new confusion. The U.S. president told reporters that letters to trade partners with their new tariff rates or deals are to begin being sent out today. However, when asked on when they come into effect, he didn't give a clear answer, so his Commerce Secretary jumped in to say August 1st. On the latest surrounding the sweeping U.S. tariffs, we're talking with political analyst Enrique Cosero, coming to us from Madrid. Welcome, Enrique. Thank you so much for joining us. What do you make of this latest announcement? We've witnessed several back and forths with the tariffs as it is. How much can these 3 weeks bring when it comes to Washington making deals with more countries?
Thank you for having me, Andy. As you said better than anyone. We know for sure that this is the I don't know, uncountable time in which Donald Trump is saying that the tariffs are going to be managed as a threat. So he talked about those letters that will be sent today and will be received probably tomorrow or Wednesday. Let's gonna see which countries are gonna be punished, but trying to understand Donald Trump's head or Donald Trump's mind. What I will say is probably the delivery of these first letters in order to apply new tariffs or the same tariffs with different with a different coefficient or whatever is going to be sort of cautionary tale. I mean, probably those letters are going to send to specific countries in order to say to other countries, sort of a proxy, in order to say to another countries, okay, this is it. This is how I'm going to manage the tariffs from now on. And those are the countries that I don't like that much, and they're going to be the first ones on being punished. I see this, but as you said, probably in a few days we're going to see some back off and some steps no forward, but just in the opposite direction. And then we're gonna see some advance, and then some retreat, and then some threats, and then some try to fix the thing. And at the end, in August the 1st, he's gonna say, "I'm a very good negotiator."
There are signals coming out of one of America's largest trading partners, the European Union, that a trade deal with Washington is imminent. Would you say that this window might allow them to finalize a deal?
Probably, and probably that's gonna work in sort of United States. The United States can be so kind with legitimate allies, right? But we have to remember one thing. I'm from Spain. On the last 2 weeks, I mean, probably 10 or 14 days ago, Donald Trump threatened the Prime Minister of Spain because Pedro Sanchez didn't want to join the agreement on the NATO in saying, okay, I'm going to apply new tariffs to Spain, which is sort of complicated because the commerce policies are going to be applied from the European Union. So if that agreement, if the United States and the European Union reach that agreement, let's see what's going to happen with Spain, because it's not going to be a minor trouble for my country, and it's not going to be a minor trouble for the European Union if they want to establish a joint position in front of the United States. In my opinion, the EU is gonna try to get the more profitable trade no matter what. So probably the punishment to Spain is gonna be in other way around.
And finally, what do you make of Trump's threat to BRICS and countries aligning with the group with an additional 10% tariff for, quote, anti-American policies?
I wouldn't move from the things that I already said. Probably, I think that the most probable exit to this is going to be to split the BRICS group, right? Probably India is going to get a very profitable agreement, probably Brazil. I'm not quite sure about China, but they already got a very, balanced agreement. There's going to see what happened with Russia, because Russia is not sort of something strange to Donald Trump, and Putin is not a newcomer. So I think that the best move that Donald Trump can do with those is try to split them. Let's see then if the BRICS are gonna be, they're gonna have the tendency to be splitted. If they will want to keep a real strong position against the United States, or real strong position against whatever the threat that Donald Trump can make, I would rather to keep together in order to keep the alliance. But we have to know it's sort of an artificial alliance. So that's the reason why I said that the easiest thing to Donald Trump is try to split that alliance.
Enrique, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you, Andy.
Speaking of BRICS, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has called on the group's leaders to lead global reforms during the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has urged BRICS leaders to take the lead on global reforms during the summit in Rio de Janeiro. Speaking at a session titled Strengthening Multilateralism, Economic Financial Affairs and Artificial Intelligence, Lula said, "The international landscape has worsened, undermining the decisions made during last year's G20 summit." He called on BRICS leaders to build on their past contributions and push for structural change.
It is the same location that hosted the G20 summit last year. Much of the success achieved was due to the constructive participation of the BRICS. To reflect our economic weight, the BRICS members' voting power at the IMF should amount to at least 25%, not the 18% we currently hold. Where the post-war arrangements continue to fall short, the new development bank offers a lesson in governance.
The expansion of BRICS has created new opportunities for diplomatic coordination. More than 30 countries have expressed interest in joining the group. either as full members or partners. The bloc, originally formed in 2009 with Brazil, Russia, India, and China, later welcomed South Africa. Last year, BRICS expanded further to include Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates.
Oil markets reacted to a surprise decision by the OPEC Plus to boost production in August, pushing prices lower. The global energy markets are also watching the United States, where new trade agreements and higher tariffs are expected soon.
Oil prices declined by more than 1% on Monday following OPEC Plus's unexpected decision to increase output in August, sparking concerns over a potential oversupply. Brent crude slipped 1.2%, losing 80 cents to settle at $67.50 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate fell 2%, down $1.32 to $65.68. The 548,000 barrel per day production hike exceeds previous monthly increases, highlighting intensive competition among oil producers. OPEC Plus pointed to steady global economic conditions and low inventories as justification for the move. In a show of confidence, Saudi Arabia raised prices for its Arab light crude in Asia. Analysts anticipate a further rise in output when OPEC Plus meets again in September. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump says the US is close to finalizing several trade pacts on several trade agreements soon, ahead of the 9th of July deadline to introduce higher tariffs, which he says will now take effect from the 1st of August.
The US dollar is trading near multi-year lows as markets brace for a wave of new American tariffs.
The US dollar hovered close to its lowest levels since 2021 against the euro and touched lows not seen since 2015 versus the Swiss franc. The dollar has slipped 0.1% to 0.7939 Swiss franc early on Monday, edging back towards the July 1st low of 0.7869 franc. This comes as traders await President Trump's Wednesday deadline when a 90-day pause on new tariffs is set to expire. Only Britain, China, and Vietnam have reached deals with Washington so far. Trump has said he will name over a dozen countries facing steeper duties, with new rates to take effect on August 1st. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent signaled major announcements are expected in the coming days. While markets anticipate some turbulence, analysts believe the reaction may be less intense than before, as markets appear to be pricing in continued tariff deadline extensions. Still, investors are watching closely for any last-minute shifts or extensions.
Catastrophic flash floods have claimed at least 82 lives in central Texas, including 28 children, after torrential rains triggered a rapid rise in water levels. As rescue crews continue searching for the missing, devastated communities are left grappling with one of the deadliest flood events in recent memory.
Central Texas is reeling after devastating flash floods swept through the region over the weekend, killing at least 82 people, including 28 children. Torrential rains triggered a sudden rise of up to 800 centimeters along the Guadalupe River, causing widespread destruction in Kerr County and surrounding areas. The worst-hit area, Kerr County, reported 68 deaths, while others were confirmed across Travis, Burnett, Kendall, Williamson, and Tom Green counties. Search and rescue operations are ongoing, with several children still missing from Camp Mystic, a girls' summer camp that was directly in the path of the floods. Camp Mystic's owner died during rescue efforts, and 4 campers have been confirmed dead. Emergency crews, both air and ground, have been working continuously to locate survivors and recover bodies amid difficult conditions.
We were focused where we found the husband, Mr. Jose Olvera, thinking because they were holding hands when they got washed away. And we focused there and trying to get as closest to the body as we could, but we just started kind of going that way.
The father was found yesterday. The team found 2 kids too, downstream, and so we're just scouting the area, both sides of the riverbed. found an article of clothing from the mother, and we were tracking and tracing opposite sides of the riverbed.
Officials are now reviewing the region's emergency alert systems after concerns were raised about how warnings were issued. Although the National Weather Service had flagged the flooding risk early Friday, it remains unclear how widely those alerts were received. Rain continues to fall in the already flooded region, prompting further flood warnings as rivers and creeks begin to rise again. A major disaster declaration has been signed for Kerr County, allowing for the release of federal aid and resources to support ongoing rescue and recovery operations.
"12 Turkish soldiers died after being exposed to methane gas during a search operation in a cave in northern Iraq," the country's defense ministry said. In a statement, the ministry said the incident took place on Sunday during a mission to locate the remains of a Turkish soldier killed during a military operation against the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party. Other soldiers, also exposed to the gas in the cave, have been taken to the hospital for treatment. Kazakh military personnel have arrived in Azerbaijan to take part in the Tarlan 2025 Joint Flight Tactical Exercise. They were welcomed by an Azerbaijani Air Force unit. According to Azerbaijan's Ministry of Defense, the three-day drills will start on July 8th and will focus on unmanned aerial systems and operational coordination. The aim is to boost UAV-related skills and foster experience sharing between the two countries' air forces. Azerbaijan says peace with Armenia is within reach, but must be achieved through direct dialogue without foreign mediation. In an interview with Mundo Internacional, presidential representative Elchin Amirbayev stressed that both sides have already agreed on a final draft of the treaty based on 5 core principles. However, a constitutional clause in Armenia claiming Karabakh remains a key legal hurdle. Amirbayev emphasized the need for bold decisions and called for the dismantling of outdated formats, such as the OSCE Minsk Group, stating the peace process should now be fully led by Baku and Yerevan. Airports across Iran have opened over the weekend, and many residents of the capital that fled the Israeli strikes have returned home. Day-to-day life after the 12-day war seems to be returning to normal. Our Turaj Shiralelu has the details in Tehran.
As a sign of gradual normalization of post-war conditions, Tehran's Mehrabad Airport and the International Imam Khomeini Airport, as well as other major airports across the country, resumed their operations over the weekend, while more embassies are announcing return of their staff to their diplomatic missions in Tehran. The Civil Aviation Authority has put a time limit for the flights from 5 a.m. to 18 p.m., which indicates Iran does not want to risk its airspace security in the wake of U.S.-Israeli strikes, which were predominantly airborne. Schools and universities are already closed for long summer holidays, which run up to late September, with academic examinations postponed from July to August. Also, the country's health network, which underwent war conditions and was also attacked in a number of occasions by Israel, has stepped out of the state of emergency, as official figures put the number of death toll at 935 during 12 days of war. In the meantime, Tehran's unofficial currency market, which saw the surging exchange rate of about 970,000 rials per $1, is plummeted to 920,000 rials per $1. And the stock market is experiencing its first signs of viability following a record plunge during the war. Many residents, especially Tehranis, who had evacuated the capital during Israel's attacks, have returned to their houses and jobs, while a fragile ceasefire is holding between Iran on one side and the US and Israel on the other. And despite of resumption of routine life patterns, there are signals of the post-ceasefire uncertainties about its future, as Iran and US have not agreed on the date and venue of their next round of negotiations so far. Dearh Shiralilu, reporting for Anewz TV, Tehran.
To Central Asia now, a new wind power plant is set to be built in Uzbekistan's Burch-Mula. The $28 million project will generate nearly 130 million kilowatt hours of electricity each year. Spanning 10 hectares, the 20 megawatt station marks another step in Uzbekistan's shift to renewables, as the country joins regional partners to export green energy to Europe.
Stand by.
One of the main outcomes of the ECO Regions Summit held in Azerbaijan a few days ago is that sustainability and climate resilience must be central to ECO's future. Joining us from Baku to briefly talk on this is Sheraz Mahmoud Khan, a research scholar at the Western Caspian University. Welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. Now, the adopted communiqué says, among other things, that the countries are to develop more renewables, work on protecting the region's ecosystem, and incorporate shared priorities on climate in all future policies. What are your thoughts on the region cooperating on these issues?
Well, first of all, thank you so very much for inviting me, and I would like to congratulate the President of Azerbaijan and the people of Azerbaijan for hosting such an amazing and such a wonderful and very, very successful summit. It was obviously the 17th SCO summit, which took place in Khankandy, and Khankandy itself it has a lot of significance. I've been to Khankandy, Khojale, and Susha twice or thrice when I was here in Baku in Azerbaijan. So I know the places, I know the significance of the places, and I know the territory, and there's that kind of a territory which a few years back Azerbaijan could not, people could not even imagine to go. I mean, that was a disputed territory for decades, and now it is so secure, it is secure enough to host such kind of events where the people, not only people, but the heads of the state of different countries of ECO, 10 heads of state of different from ECO member states came and attended that. That's a wonderful and remarkable, achievement from, for President Ilham Aliyev and the people of Azerbaijan. Second, ECO started with the very, with Pakistan, Turkey, and Iran back in the 80s. Now it is, you can see it constantly going on. It's for the summit was not only the heads of the state of the 10 governments, but it was attended by the ministers and all that, and ECO observers there, and obviously they were including the banks and cultural institutes and academic institutes and all that. So ECO is actually evolving. It is not only just the economic cooperation anymore, it is more of a trade cooperation, it is more of a connectivity cooperation, it is more of a south, east, west, east, north corridors connectivity, more of an economic cooperation. And one more thing is that it has brought in the women's role in sustainability and climate resilient future, which is obviously another paradigm, another new thing in ECO which has been added. It was observed by the observers. So ECO is evolving as the geopolitics of the world is evolving. Geopolitics of the world, we must understand that it has become a multilateral, multi-vector, and it's a multipolar world, not a unipolar world anymore. So in multipolar world, what countries do is they take care of the economics, they take care of economic security, they take care of their strategic security, and they take care of the other securities, food security, business securities and all kinds of securities through the cooperation of the with the regional partners, with the regional countries and all that. Exactly what that ECO is doing right now.
Indeed,
ECO,
Sharaz, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We now go to Turkey, where wildfires continue to grip parts of the country's west. The devastation is being felt not just by people, but by wildlife as well. In the burnt forests of Izmir, a group of volunteers has been set up to rescue injured animals and clean up areas left scarred by both flames and human neglect.
In Turkey's Izmir, a group of volunteers is working to treat animals that survived forest fires and to relocate them to new habitats. Following a call made on social media by the Projects for Animals Association and the Afalina animal rights community, around 100 volunteers gathered in a forested area in Buca district that had been affected by fire. The injured animals received treatment from a veterinarian in the group, while the healthy ones were placed in temporary cages and taken under protection to be transferred to suitable habitats.
We met today and carried out great work together. We rescued 4 or 5 animals. Our work isn't done yet, so we may find more. We saved 2 slow worms, 2 turtles, and 1 snake.
Everyone fought with all their heart to save even one animal. We saw a lizard up on the hill, and even for that we chased after it with all our strength. We were all drenched in sweat just to get it out of that darkness.
Some volunteers also noted that they encountered a significant amount of trash and waste in the burned areas.
Even deep in the forest there are bottles. The forest is already reduced to ashes. It's such a painful sight. Everything burned, even the soil itself scorched. What I can't comprehend is, what is all this garbage doing here? Why do we treat nature so badly? Yes, a natural disaster might happen, but it feels as though we humans are also laying the groundwork for it with our own hand.
A wildfire in Turkey's Izmir province spread to residential areas, killing 2 people. Firefighting efforts continued with aircraft over mountainous terrain. Around 200 homes were damaged, with victims relocated. Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya said 50,000 people were temporarily evacuated earlier in the week due to extreme heat, dry conditions and strong winds.
Well, that's all we have for you for now. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned to Anewz.